Hi and welcome to Spiritual Link, the podcast, a podcast about how developing spiritual well-being can help you in your daily life and how that can enhance your confidence in who you are and what you are. The podcast is hosted by Ines and Tor. Ines is a development medium with over 30 years of experience in the field, and Tor has been her apprentice since 2013. In this episode, we talk more about regression, self-awareness, and extraterrestrials. You can support us by sharing the episode on your social media channels, subscribing to our podcast, and leaving a review. Remember, you can always find us on @SpiritualLinkCo on Instagram. Hey Ines, how you been?
Fine, thank you, Thor. Good to see you.
Good to see you as well. How odd was the fog this morning?
Oh, spooky.
Very spooky. I went for a run and it's like I couldn't see the whole park whilst I was running.
Wow. But
Yeah, it
that's
was really
exciting.
foggy. Yeah,
Yes, very nice.
like misty and mystical,
Yes.
basically, you know?
That's what I really actually love about London and England. Even all
Yeah.
the other shires, they all have this mist over them. And that sort of reminds me of, I don't know, log fires, nice food, Yorkshire pudding, apple
Yeah.
crumble, all kinds of things. You name it. Yes,
Yeah.
just coziness.
Yeah, no, exactly. So I can definitely
Mm.
tell that that is coming on, isn't it? The coziness of winter is coming on.
Yes, very much so. What time in the morning did you run?
So I find that when I try and run on an empty stomach, it never works. I would get really tired from running on an empty stomach. So I usually have like breakfast and then I run. So probably was around, I think it was 8:30 I went for a run.
That's a nice time.
Yeah.
Very, very nice time. Yeah, you're not totally alone, I would imagine. A little
Not
bit.
totally alone.
Yeah.
Although there are a couple of times where I've been out of the door by 7 and there's still people in the park also going for runs. Yeah,
Oh,
6:37.
so what do you have for breakfast?
So I normally have like just some overnight oats for breakfast every day.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I normally like prepare
With
it the
with
evening before.
with milk or what?
So I have almond milk. Yeah, with almond
Oh,
milk.
okay.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah.
You know, it takes about 60 gallons of water to harvest one almond. Speaking
It's
of,
actually oat milk when I think about it. It's actually oat milk and not almond milk. But I did not
oh,
know
okay.
that.
Yes, it does. It's absolutely hideous, the supply of water is needed for these almonds.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Which is also why I changed to oat milk because I used
Yes.
to use almond milk, and then I found out that fact, and I was like, God, that is a
Yeah.
lot of water to create these almonds, isn't it? So I
Yeah.
changed to oat milk, basically.
Good, good. Oh, that's nice. Oh, yes, we do our bit for the
The thing
planet.
is, but just my system doesn't like dairy very well either. So
Yeah.
that's a part of the problem because I mean, dairy milk is nice.
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, it's
Yeah.
great.
Oh,
It's
good.
lovely. How's your week been?
Oh, I'm fine. Yeah, but same here. You know, it's sort of everything's well, the area where I'm living, the lights are up. The Christmas lights are up, modest, but they're up. They were already up in the middle of November. Everyone trying to cheer everybody else up.
Mm.
Of course, the shops are closed, so it's an internal cheer, isn't it?
So where you live, will it be tier 3 or tier 2?
Two. I'm in
Two.
two.
Right.
Yes, and you're two as well, aren't you?
Yeah, I will also be
Yes.
tier 2, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Tier two is good.
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
know. That so much is said about it. I think we're all just trying, trying to get rid of this horrible virus. I hope.
Yeah, it's just going to be so interesting to see whether we go back into lockdown after Christmas, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, whether it's just like a Christmas relief and then we all go back in again after Christmas and stay in it till, I don't know, March.
What I found with talking to various people, not the ones that say they're on my page or anything like that, but a lot of people have changed their habits and their outlook a little bit about how they lead their social life. They're not quite so, not that everybody misses company to a certain degree, the camaraderie and so on. But a lot of people have changed from doing as much as they used to do and quite enjoy their own company now as well. Which I found interesting. And this was the age group is literally varies from say 23. I have a friend 23 to just say 16, well, the 90-year-olds, they're in a care home, aren't they? So I'm sorry. They're not going to change. No.
When you're 90, yeah, no, it's not going to change much, is it? It's
No.
really not going to change much. You know, we were talking about The Crown just before this, and I Googled like King Philip or whatever he is, and he's
Yes.
99 years old.
Yes. It's Prince Philip.
It's Prince Philip, isn't it? He's,
Yes, he's 99. Yes. And
I was
he's
just
not,
like
yeah.
astonished by the fact that he's 99 and like still walking and still be, obviously he's lived a very sort of comforting life,
Yes.
surely, but still though, 99
Yeah.
is incredible.
Exactly. He's not drooling, is he? No,
Mm-mm.
he's very alert. And the Queen, what is she, 94, 95, 6, 90, something like that. She's not
Yeah.
far behind.
I think it's incredible when
Oh, I
I want to
do.
be I want to be a sharp 99-year-old.
Okay. So, and who's going to see to your ablutions? Somebody young and frisky, or
We'll figure that out when I get there, you know, but
okay,
I am determined to be a sharp and clear-headed
good.
99-year-old.
Yes, yes, good.
That is my goal in life.
Well, I wish you luck. And yes, good. I hope you will be as well. Very much so. Yeah.
You know, we've
So,
been talking about regression for a couple of weeks, and
yes.
I don't know, maybe because we've been talking about regression so much, my regressions, I suppose, have sort of ramped up almost. Like I feel like I've stepped more into past lives. You know, I've been talking about this Arab life that I had this like Roman, like both sides of the coin. I totally forgot to tell you this, and I was going to tell you this before we got on, but then we had such a conversation beforehand, so I'm just going to tell you now. I also saw another life where I think I was some sort of slave
It
because I
makes
could
sense.
see myself sort of pulling something, and there was definitely someone with like some sort of whip or something, like whipping the people in sort of march and making them walk faster, and
Um,
I was definitely one of those slaves sort of pulling
Egypt,
basically. Yeah,
Egypt. It's Egypt. You were in Egypt.
yeah, that's
Have
what
you
I
been
did,
to
that's what I
Egypt?
saw.
Have you seen that type of a setting? Try it
No.
next time. It's Egypt. I feel that was in Egypt.
Yeah, so that
But
was very
actually,
interesting.
yes, I'm not even certain you were a slave, even though you saw yourself hauling something. I feel that you were. It was a job.
Right.
Yes, you had to be shackled up because they didn't this. They had oxens, but I feel that you weren't captured or anything.
Mm.
It was you were being paid, not a lot. But it wasn't always slavery.
That is true. I have read that somewhere. That is absolutely true.
Mm, mm. And did you know that actually the say we're talking about the masons, people who are hauling those bricks, those great big boulders and so on. Did you know that they actually went on strike?
Did they?
Yes, they went on strike. They had a union leader. They
Love
went
it.
on strike. Do you know what they went on strike for?
No idea.
These were guys, okay? They were all men who were dragging this around. Makeup, makeup. And do you know what the makeup was for? Eyeliner.
Yeah, was it to shine? Was it to hide the sun? Was that the thing?
Yes, they were the old-fashioned sunglasses. It
Yeah.
took away the glare of the sand and the sun, the reflection of the sun on the sand, and that's why the Egyptians have this dark eyeliner, and mainly on the bottom, and then of course on top as well. And because it's expensive, so the richer you were, of course, you have little wings on it, and so on and so forth, elaborate designs on it. But they used to go on strike. So nothing's new.
Nothing's new. I love that. I think
I know, yes.
striking is fair. That's really cool. That's an interesting analysis of that. Yeah, I think you can be absolutely, totally right, because
Yeah.
that was an image I was saying. So that was very interesting.
But what you might also find from that, you could have also been, okay, you were hauling something, but you could have also been one of the main leaders.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Anyway, but what we were talking about also regression. Regression incorporates the law of karma. It incorporates this free will that we spoke about. Regression incorporates so much. That's why we're still using, say, regression as our topic at this time. But if we're talking about, this is the same subject, only a different word. If we're talking about life skills, an important aspect of life skills is to become aware of oneself. Now, this is modern day 2020. This is what is said: become aware of oneself, the knowledge and interpretations of what we hold within ourselves, contact yourself, absolutely. Our personal perspective of life, which is always has to be personal, of course. An important aspect of, say, the spiritual link, as we call ourselves, of course, is not just spiritual, is also us, who we happen to be, is important, because what we're doing, we're bringing all of these concepts together. Our innermost belief structure and our physical self, and also from the past, which of course is the regression. All of them, we bring them into play so that we're able to understand ourselves and perhaps interpret our actions and our emotions. Very, very, very important. All of that in that one little paragraph. We are incorporating karma, the laws of karma. We're talking about the meaning of life. We're talking about personal development. We're talking about self-awareness. All of those things which are 2020, in the year 2020, 2019, we were talking about that sort of situation. So when we come back to the point of regression as well, the very, very split second of time that the body separates from the spirit, all that very second, everything is absorbed or sealed. No more memory exists in our brain, the physical brain. So at that second, everything comes into that capsule or the memory of all time. And that is where we become the knowledge and interpretation of what we hold within ourselves. That is the regressive part, because we can actually, in this lifetime, feed on that knowledge, feed on our expertise, utilize it to our best interest, especially now as well, and also progress with that. But anyway, it's no longer exists in the brain. And also, when we go into the regressive state at any time, this is a generalization. Everything we say is sort of general. But if we are seeing something for the first time, and the fact is, if we do not understand what we are seeing, of course, we will not be able to understand it. So if we accept that we have lived many lives on many different planets, as many different things, if we go away from this concept of time of planet Earth, and let us say we have been also reincarnated onto another planet, now we would not be able to understand if we saw a life from another planet, and vice versa. Those life forms on that other planet, if they were to regress, they would not be able to understand our life on this particular planet. So can you see how very difficult this area or complex this area can be? In the same instance, so we can really shake this around and make it difficult. Time is a circle, and that circle does not always follow a pattern. It can be up, down, sideways. That's the way our mind is also able to travel: up, down, left, right, in the middle, and so on and so forth, depending on what is right for us at that particular time. So if time is not always a circle, we could very well sometimes regress back in time. Everything has happened before. There have been spaceships before, flying has been before, and much more has actually been before. So if we see that, are we actually seeing the future, or are we seeing the past? And that, of course, could also be, if we are seeing the future and other situations of creations, are we seeing in, say, 50 or 100 years' time, those possibilities? Or are we actually linking with a time well before Atlantis? So the reason I'm throwing that in, with regression, our own intent, our own interest for our personal development needs to be opened so that if we do see something that maybe we go back to that regression yet again, you have opened yourself up, you've seen a life, you do not quite understand it, make a note of it, close down, and then go back to it at another time. And you can actually start your regression in that area of time where you left off. The mind will remember, your physical mind will remember, your subconscious mind will remember, and your guides will also remember.
So, are we saying that extraterrestrials exists?
Of course, other life forms. Who would, even if you don't believe them, ET is a fabrication. Why should we be the only species in the universes? The universes are they're huge. I think I gave a talk one on the universes. They're like cones, like Christmas cracker cones, each interacting with one another. And those are the entrances to the universes. And so yes, there are, but there's no reason at this time to necessarily understand those other life forms.
Right.
Can you imagine? We don't even agree with the human beings on this planet.
Yeah.
You know, we discriminate because of color, because of our thought patterns. Okay, we can differentiate what color we are, but what goes on in our brain is even questioned by so many, and you start a war because you have a different belief structure.
Yeah.
So why should we bring in another element of other life forms?
Yeah.
They may be happy.
Yeah.
So what you were just saying is very, very, very interesting and very important. Also with extraterrestrials, how anybody sees an extraterrestrial will also be individual. I might see one that resembles something that I have seen on television, because I understand that, and that's what an extraterrestrial might look like. Someone else might have a different idea. And that same concept of individualism, individual seeing and understanding, also reflects then to color. We've gone into color before. My color of yellow might be a slightly different shade to your color of yellow. Reading the aura, the colors, the sounds, the smells, the tastes, the feel will be always different. Every person will have a slightly different take on it. And that individuality is our karma, is who and what we are. Okay, well, the reasons, of course, what we were just saying, the reasons for regression can be very physical, of course. Who was I? What was I? And what you just said, Thor, that you felt you were shackled, or you're drawing something, you're a slave. We will have been everything. A lot of times, individuals only want to focus on the importance of an individual. They were king, a queen, a rich man, whatever it happens to be. But remember that that lifestyle is only for the physical. That doesn't make up who and what a personality is. That's only one lifetime. So the reasons for regression can be very physical, but they can also be on more of a spiritual experience, trying to move forward from the spiritual point of view. One would then seek to find the point within where one is almost perfect in the spiritual sense. But in the physical, of course, it would be very much what was happening at this time. So this double Dutch that I'm just saying, we are not able as human beings to understand what it is like to be in spirit. We have died. There we are in spirit. Okay, what is it like? Which cloud is mine? We can only ever understand it from the physical point of view of our life now. So it's not doable. I once asked the guides, we were doing regression, and this woman, we used her quite a lot. She was a member of our group. She was Anne Boleyn. And anyway, da 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 da. And I asked the guides once, what was her last thought as she died? And the answer that I got at that time was, it would not have even been in her physical mind, because it is totally irrelevant. And the relevance of all of that, of course, from the physical point of view, oh God, it must have hurt, so on. So the fear, of course, and so on and so forth. But we are only vehicles for the spiritual self to learn. So only certain memories would be actually stored. The spirit is what needs to learn. So what I just said, we do not know what happens to the spirit. All we know is that all lives are stored, and all we can do is to go back into any of those times as a physical experience. If we were to link with anything else other than the physical, of course, we couldn't see it, because we cannot understand the physical of what there is. The physical are ethers. Sound travels on ethers, on sound waves. Spirit also travels on sound waves. Color travels on sound waves. So are we able to understand those sound waves? What does happen, of course, I'm not talking, again, regression, but I'm talking about mind situations that happen within our physical mind. Let us say stuck means there's an entity has been stuck, needs rescue, an exorcism, right? Which also has to do with regression, of course. So let us assume an entity, a person is stuck. They are a ghost. So what happens that the last thought of the entity, let us say they were killed and they were looking for their partner. So their last thought of the entity that is stuck is that they are looking for their partner. So there you are, ready to do that exorcism. What the human element has to do, I've done a lot of exorcisms as well. So what I have to do, I have to link with that mind and see which period of time, which framework, which dimension they are in, and reconstitute the imagery and see the image that they are seeing. And then that thought, seeing that, I have to then reunite them with the person they are looking for. Then that thought is put back into their memory of all time, sealed, and they are pushed off or directed towards spirit. Now then, what's happened? Great, they're fine, they're reincarnated. However, something may have happened in that person's life, new life now. That memory of being stuck is still there. And very sometimes that memory can emerge again. Not that the new person in this new lifetime would be drawn there, but this feeling of you should be somewhere else, the feeling you are looking for something, could cause a slight mind upset in our physical mind at the moment, because it is just a memory from another life. So sometimes if we have that anomaly within our mindset, we're able to, again, regress, go into regression, see where the incident occurred, confirm that thought pattern, confirm that it has been dealt with, and thereby release the tension or the anxiety in the person's mind who is perhaps not a split personality, because that's another area entirely, but that's where the last memory is able to hold on in some way to this particular life. So we are able to put it back so that this syndrome can be released. So if we take, say, a worm's life, and you brought that back, it would be rather useless, because therefore we must keep to the humanized situation of which we understand. So we don't know what a worm feels like. We wouldn't understand it digging around on the ground. However, I would like to contradict myself again. I have had that in the group meditations someone has regressed back to India, and they very clearly saw an Indian. He wasn't not a warden, but he was in charge of the monkeys in that area. And the monkeys in this part of India are revered, very much revered. And this Indian was in charge of feeding them, making certain they had a well-being. Anyway, she was at that time, what I was able to ascertain, she was actually a monkey, a revered monkey, and that was her keeper. And they became very close, closer than the other monkeys to this keeper of this temple. And they learned from one another. So this is another lifetime where she was a monkey, and the keeper, who was human, of course, they still shared the ability to link. So as I just said, we would not be able to understand being a worm. A worm procreates itself as well. And a worm would not necessarily eat out of your hand. So I'm talking about monkeys are not necessarily humanized, but I suppose they come closer. The only other thing that I've also found with regression, really, really interesting, a young woman, she saw the eyes of a tiger, a Bengal tiger. And she went back to this regression many times during the course of the years she was with me. And what I found out, she at that time was also a Bengal tiger, and she was looking into the eyes of her mate, because Bengal tigers mate for life. And they were so close, but closer than normal, the normal closeness of Bengal tigers. They just really, really, really adore themselves. And she was looking into the eyes of her soulmate at that particular time. So all I'm saying is that we can't go into everything, certainly not with a podcast, but these are just interesting things.
Yeah, so I think that so basically one of my guides is called Zoo, right? It's one of my guides, and I think in one of the groups that obviously I've been a part of your group for forever, which has been amazing. But in one of the meditations that I did, I saw him as a wolf instead of as Zoo. So I have seen him as an animal instead of as Sue, which is the one I sort of normally get in touch with, but in a different life where I think I was some sort of Native American, he was there with me as a wolf in that life.
Absolutely, absolutely. What I find fabulous about these sort of links is how much we are part of so much. It's not just singular who we are now. We take these personalities, we take the strength, the energy of our life, of their life. They're still with us. Nothing is gone. Nothing's ever gone. I think that's wonderful. Very, really, really wonderful. So the past, in the sense that we see it or trying to, is something that has gone forward from this particular time. So if one does move into the future, one could not be linked with that situation in a regressive state necessarily, for the reason that it would really not be understood. But did I mention already that regression into the future, of course, even though it has not happened, is still part of the karmic pattern? We were talking a little bit about karma, weren't we? So if we talk about the totalness of path of life, did I say this last week? Does it sound familiar? Sort of vaguely.
Go on.
Okay. Anyway, so a person has a spirit has a life, billions, trillions, zillions of years. I don't know. Nobody knows. It's not a numerical figure. So this is the life they have. Blah blah blah. It's like a map. It's like a road map. So in essence, in a trillion years, this is the spot where this person is going to be. Full stop. So in essence, even though you're not living in that time, it is still part of the karma. So why shouldn't you be able to see ahead of time a little bit what lies ahead? Because that's what's going to happen. That's your karmic path. That's why we also talked about clairvoyance earlier on. That's why we don't get a lot with clairvoyance. Something to placate. I'm not saying that there's fabulous clairvoyants around, absolutely fabulous. Wouldn't mind knowing someone who is a fabulous clairvoyant, anybody listening to this. And we just get enough to go on. So having said that, again, I was regressed forward in time to quite a long time ahead. And I saw the life form I was going to be on another planet, which to me, because I could understand, looked more like an elephant, but an elephant with two legs, very short, stubby sort of arms, and a long, very long nose. Not totally a trunk, but long nose. And that the skin of this being was very, very thick, like a rhinoceros, because the temperature on this new planet is so ferocious and so hot, you needed a thick skin to survive. So having said all of that, you can't really see into the future because you don't understand it. I was also taken forward. I mean, it's a fascinating subject, what we're talking about. Spiritual link is fascinating because it deals with us now. We have the right to think and be who we are. And we should also be very proud of who and what we are at any given time. Let me see what I do want to say. So if we're talking about the past lives, we're talking about now, we're talking about the future, of course, everything is one anyway, but everything in life is only on loan. There's never entitlement. There is no punishment, but it's a loan. It is a learning. It's a learning curve. Our life is on loan. Our health is on loan. Even the hard and the difficult times in life are on loan. And these loans, this managing to get through the good times and the hard times, we're able to gain an inner strength. As otherwise, truly, there would be no purpose in life, no purpose whatsoever. The most important part of our life is how we live our life, how we see the purpose of our life, and how we can enjoy our life. At any time, what we talk about in our little podcast, we're talking about the totalness of all aspects that life has to offer, not just one bit and not another. So by talking about regression, we're talking about karma, this spirituality. We're not bringing forward any form of religion. Your belief structure should be individual to suit your needs, your way of thinking. And that is what makes life complete. That's what makes life positive as well. It's always an individual theory as to what happens after death. Of course it is. But on a physical basis, every day of life is a gift. And that gift of life can only be appreciated once we understand the meaning and purpose of life. And that is the cornerstone is regression through the art of meditation. I'm not talking about the flippant little flick that we have sometimes of a déjà vu. I'm talking about understanding you have lived before many, many times what you're able to see. You will live again. Yoo-hoo. That's right. And what is the purpose? The hard times, the good times. And if we do understand that everything is on loan, that it is a learning process, maybe we can appreciate now in the gift of life even more. So that is actually why regression is so important and why we've had so many sessions of the regressive state. So many things are actually a regressive situation. And all of this is achievable through the power of oneself. The power is the ability to want to do something, to go ahead, to make the time. The method of individually understanding and appreciating life is through the calming of the mind. It is an inward journey to learn, understand, and to appreciate oneself, to be able to become aware of others, learning to let go of resentment, stored up anger, guilt, fear, uncertainty. As I just said, all this is achievable through the power of oneself. the strength that lays within ourselves. And this is achieved, again, broken record, I am, through the art of meditation. You may call it mindfulness. It's a word, nothing else. Through meditation, we bring forward pastimes and events which bring forward a new realization and understanding in our life and our needs now. Our needs now, super important. Our life is so important now, that you enjoy life now, that you can actually get back to some form of semblance through what is happening through the COVID catastrophe now. How do we help ourselves now? So what we're doing is for now.
I think that's probably the positive message for the week, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And the other little bit that the guys gave, very little, and I know I've said this before, but I don't think it can be said often enough. Very little is needed to make a happy life. We can't alter what's going on around us. A lot of times we can't, but we can alter the way we think and accept a situation and move forward. And there are so many amazing people. I'm not talking just about wonderful Britain as a whole, all 4 nations. I'm talking about India, the States, China, Japan, Australia, without eliminating anyone. We have incredible talent as the human beings. We survive. We will survive as a unit, not individual, but as a unit. And I love the diversity. I like the different thoughts. That's it.
That's it.
That's it. Amen.
I think that's
Off of soapbox.
I think your soapbox is amazing, Ines. So
Thank you.
I'm not sure if I have any questions at this moment in time or anything else to fulfill. I think just leaving it at that we are doing all of this work for our life now.
Yeah, and hoping we can help as well. Don't you think so?
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you for another Friday, Ines. That was great.
Thank you too.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Spiritual Link, the podcast. If you have any questions, comments, or wants us to explore a topic, please do reach out on our Instagram account @SpiritualLinkCo.